Hello and welcome to our very first commentary box podcast of the World Cup. It better be a bloody good podcast as I'm missing Peru versus Denmark and so is Jake. So we'll try and make this quick so you don't miss any of the action and that we don't miss any of the action. For our first podcast, we will be showing our predictions for the World Cup. I know we're a bit late on the bandwagon, but I think they're still meaningful all the same. And of course, we get to tweak them a bit, of course, due to the matches that have already been played, so we don't look too much like fools. Hello, Jake.
Hello, I'm very excited not only to be recording our first World Cup podcast, but watching the World Cup. I've loved every minute. And I must say that game yesterday, Portugal-Spain, the 3-3, the Ronaldo hat-trick, the Ronaldo free kick, it's all about the main man.
Yeah.
What a game it was. I would go as far as saying it's my best ever World Cup live on TV.
Yeah.
I've seen very boring finals before, like that, especially the first game opener where teams don't like to do too much because they don't want to sort of be nervous and they don't want to lose their first game because it's always an awful feeling. So to go out there and really push for it for either team was a really, really good match.
Yeah, I think we're normally prone to seeing kind of boring football in international games, especially sometimes in World Cups, especially like the South Africa World Cup, Brazil World Cup. They were both kind of not exciting most of the matches, but so far, fingers crossed, it continues. There's been so many goals. I mean, yes, the Uruguay game wasn't the best, but it was still exciting. And so far, I don't think there's been a single game that hasn't been exciting. And hopefully that can continue.
Indeed. So
we'll get straight into our predictions. So I'll start by asking you some questions, Jake. The questions that we're going to go through are who we think the winner is going to be, who we think is going to get to the final, who are going to be the underachievers, who are going to be the overachievers, and who is going to be the top goal scorer. So I'll start by asking you who you think will win the tournament, Jake.
I had many different opinions as like before, and obviously now a couple of games being played, but I've gone with Brazil to win it.
Yeah.
Big factor down to that attack force of like Coutinho and Jesus. I think all of them are very, very strong players. And when you sort of look throughout the team, players like Fernandinho, players like Marcelo, players like Thiago Silva, they've got class in many areas of the field. And although they may not have incredible depth, I feel like their starting a lineup is enough. And that attack force is really, really going to break down teams, because a lot of teams we've seen so far in the World Cup, sometimes you sit back and defend. And for example, Argentina today, when they drew against Iceland, they really just couldn't break through that defence. But I think with that trio up front, they've got a very, very good chance of breaking down any side in the tournament. So I've gone with them.
I have gone with the same, because of course for a comparison I'm going to be doing my predictions as well, and I've gone for Brazil as well, and for very, very similar reasons. But just to kind of add to what Jake says, I think their manager, Tito, I think that's his name, is that how I pronounce it, he is a very good tactical manager. I think he spent some time in Europe looking at the European game and how to kind of break down European teams and how to get the most out of the forward players while keeping a good defence, which I think was missing in 2014. So hopefully he's kind of put all the doubt that was in Brazil's minds after the World Cup in 2014 and really kind of built this team to be contenders, and that's why I think they will win as well. So, who do you think will get to the final, Jake?
In the tournament, you've got to win the final, so I've gone with Brazil in that part. But the other team I said to get to the final is France. And when I actually watched the France-Australia game today, it did make me a little bit worried about me choosing France, because they did struggle a little bit with Australia. So winning 2-1 in the end, but only due to a sort of lucky deflection that went over Matty Ryan. So they did struggle with that game, but I think they're one of those teams who've got a lot of depth. I think they're very strong in many positions. They've got good big side. But when it comes to the final in Brazil, just looking at that attack force from Brazil, and I'm just thinking, the French defence is good, but it's not incredible. I can see them breaking through. But I think France is a very, very strong team. And I think especially after the Euros, when they lost to Portugal in the final, obviously they were so close to winning it. They're going to be really, really up for it this time. And obviously Mbappe and Dembele and Griezmann, them lot up front, they're going to be able to break down a lot of sides as well. So I've gone with France to get there.
I mean, I would agree with you, but watching them today as well, I'm going to go with Belgium for this. I mean, you can't deny how much talent that France side has, but I don't think Didier Deschamps, the manager, has the kind of prowess to get them working as a team, because I watched them against Australia. I watched the whole game in the end, and they were extremely lucky. They were playing boring football. They had no energy when they were going forward, and Griezmann was kind of the only one trying to make things happen. I mean, he got taken off in the end as well for some reason, which I think was a poor tactical decision. So that's why I can't see them getting to the final. I mean, they might get to the semis just because they're the class they have in the side, but I don't think they'll get to the final. For me, it's got to be Belgium, and I know you think Roberto Martinez getting to a final with Belgium doesn't seem very realistic, but I've done my own kind of chart, and I think Belgium have the kind of easier potential route to the final than any other team, and that for that reason only, that's why I picked them. I don't think they're going to win it, but I think because they have the best run-in, they will get to the final at least.
Fair point.
So, who do you think will be the underachievers at the World Cup then, Jake?
So I've actually gone with your other finalists here. I've gone with Belgium.
Do you think they're going to get out of the group stage, or?
I think they will get out of the group.
Yep.
I think they will go past round 16. But I was talking to my friend earlier about this, and I was saying, on paper, if you give me that team of players, so you're talking Courtois, Alderweireld, Tongan, coming with an injury, so is he? I think he's back fit for the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Him, obviously, you've got a strong midfielder, De Bruyne, you've got Hazard, you've got Lukaku. I can't remember if Miralas and Mertens have been taken to the World Cup. I've got a feeling Miralas missed out, but Mertens is there.
Yep, I think that would be right there, yeah.
If you look at that team, like Witsel, they've got some really, really strong players. And I would say that team, with a decent manager being the assistant there, I would say that team has got the potential to go very, very far. But I just feel with recent tournaments and sort of their form, they never really seem to do as well as you expect. Because if someone told me that team, I'd say final or at least semis. But I just can't see them getting there. And I've got a feeling that they're going to be all right in the group because they've got no one too challenging. I think they'll be okay in the round of 16. But when it comes to that quarter final, I think they're just they're not going to, I don't think they do that. But where I would expect them to do is I expect them to get to the semis or final, sort of a team to come third, just based on the squad they had. But when it comes to playing those games, and it's almost like a FIFA Ultimate Team, you chucked in all these players you thought were really good and you buy, but when it comes to actually chemistry, it just falls apart. I don't know, that's just my opinion on it. It's interesting to hear what you were saying about how far you think they're going to get, but
yeah.
No, they're my underdog ones. Underachievers.
Yeah, so I think they kind of, my France is your Belgium, really. We both think they've got really good squads, but we both think for some other reason they're not going to kind of achieve their full potential and lift a trophy potentially, or even get to a final. Would that be kind of the same? And a little shout out to Nanan Golan, who isn't going to the World Cup. I feel so bad for him. He's one of the world-class midfielders. Of course, plays for Roma. Martinez obviously just doesn't like him for some reason. He's been left out. So, little shout out to you, Nanan Golan. You should have been going, but you're not. Anyways, my underachievers. This is going to be a shock. I think that Germany and Argentina will really struggle. Yeah, last year's finalist, or last World Cup's finalist, I think they will struggle. Germany, I think they will struggle because they have lost a lot of experience in Philipp Lahm and Bastian Schweinsteiger. As well as this, they did lose to Austria in a pre-season or pre-World Cup friendly 2-1. It was a game where I think Neuer was back from injury for the first time, and none of the team had a good game, and for that reason, kind of Neuer not playing a lot the whole season, I think Germany will struggle because Neuer is a real pinpoint in that team, and if he's not playing to his full ability or fitness, I think Germany will struggle. And as for Argentina, why I think they will struggle is because their manager. I know Sampaoli is a good manager. He's managed Seville before. He's managed Chile, and he's done well with them. But he hasn't been able to settle on a tactic. I think there's a few stats going around that he's used 40 players in his time as manager and used 6 different kind of tactics. And of course, today they drew 1-1 to Iceland. They couldn't unlock Iceland's defence to get the win, and for that reason, I just think they're a mismatch of a team not being able to play, and I don't think they'll go far, and I don't think Germany will go far either.
Good point.
So, who do you think will overachieve then?
I've gone with Portugal, which may sound very weird considering they just won the Euros. However, my reasoning behind it is the same with the Euros, I think, because no one thought Portugal would get to the final in the Euros. They drew every single game in the group, so they didn't even win. And they didn't win in normal time till like the semi-finals or something ridiculous, and everyone thought that squad going to do it. Ronaldo obviously will help them so far, but they won't get past the quarters or even around the 16. And I think people still have that perception of them now. I think people still look at that squad and they think, nah, they're not going to make it that far. Yes, Ronaldo will help them a bit, but I did sort of think they would do very well in the tournament anyway. And after that performance against Spain, although it was, yes, Ronaldo did get the hat-trick, as a team they did play very well. They were quite good when they got the ball to use it efficiently. And although it may sound easier to give the ball to Ronaldo, he's going to be marked by many players, so he's going to lose his marker, and Portugal found ways of just unlocking him and giving him space, and they really utilised his ability in that game to do well. And I just think when it comes to the World Cup, they got their hardest game out of the way, they've got a point from it, which is good. I think they're tied with Group A when it comes to the round of 16, and I don't think they're going to struggle at all with beating any of the teams in there. And then when it comes to the quarterfinals, I can see them to be getting further than people would think.
Yeah, I can see what you mean there, because they're a dogged side that's kind of grind out results. I mean, they're not the most attractive, and they don't have as big of names after Ronaldo, but as you said, they managed to get to the Euros by doing what they do best, and that's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it again and get to, say, at least the semi-finals of this World Cup. And I mean, I know I've been reading a few newspapers and they're saying that they're going to be underachieve, but the fact that they are they so much overachieved, why can't they do that again? So I would agree with you there. But the two teams that I've gone for as overachievers are Peru and Uruguay. I think Uruguay are a lot of people's kind of dark horse in the sense that they've got Cavani and Suarez up front, and I think any team with that up front has a chance of winning a game, even if they are, say, losing 2-0. They could just change it like that and go on to win it. And that's basically the only reason. Other than that, maybe because they have a really good young midfield. I mean, I've always known Uruguay as having this big centre midfielder kind of breaking down play. I can't remember his name, but it was someone at the 2014 World Cup and 2010 World Cup that was just kind of short and a bit kind of stumpy, but massive in terms of like muscle, and you just taking people out in midfield. But this has changed now. They've got a really creative midfield in Vencio and Bentancur, who both play in Serie A and are really creative players. So I think Uruguay will do well, and I think, of course, they'll get out the group. They've already beaten Egypt, so I think they can go far. And then Peru, I just think they've got a lot of team spirit. I've heard journalists say that, I think it was Kevin Keelban was on a plane with some Peruvian fans, and they were just really happy to be there. And I think having that kind of happiness to be there and optimism is just really important. So I think Peru could upset the apple cart as such, and maybe get out of their group and get to the knockout stages, which would be over an achievement for them.
100%, that's a very good point. I've heard a lot about them, and teams like Panama or even Iceland as well, the ones where they're not really expected to do well, but they're so determined, they've got a really good background and structure that they end up doing very well and a lot better than people thought. So someone said to me, I don't know, maybe even 5 years ago, well, before the Euros, I never even knew that Iceland had a football team. I didn't even know they were even competing. Tell them as a team. All I knew was Sigurdsson was from there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Obviously, we played some game, but I'd never seen them in any sort of World Cup or Euros or anything. And suddenly they turned it around, and they looked like a really threatening team. Mm-hmm. The whole team looked very committed, and they just love this sense of togetherness where they're going to fight and they're going to go to the very end. I think it's amazing. Yeah, it's really, really good.
On that point, I think it's really magical how something like that can happen. I mean, we did see it at the Euros with Iceland, but also we saw it with Wales, where just something clicks in a team that means that they all play for each other, and they all play for the nation, and the whole nation gets behind them, and it just spurs on the whole team to do brilliantly. And I just love to see that, and I think that's happening again for Iceland this year, and it's got to help into another side, and I think that tide will.
Yeah, I think everyone gets behind them, even if you're not. But like I'm an Englishman, I'm an English fan.
Yeah.
We lost to Iceland in the World Cup, but when I saw them play today against Argentina, when they scored, I got off of my seat and I was like, yes,
yeah.
I was so happy, and I was like, that's great, and I was like, I love seeing that. They're a good team, they work hard, and I really wanted to sort of get involved and be amongst that sort of optimism that everyone has about them. And it's really fun, it's really magical, you said, and it's just great to support an underdog.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it before we went on, that sometimes with big teams, there's a kind of a negative aura around them. Like, obviously the England team always has a negative aura surrounding the World Cup, and I think Bilic on ITV was saying how in England he's noticed that there's always a negative side to everything, and they were showing negative clips of England's in World Cups, like penalty misses, whereas he was saying in Croatia they play positive kind of footage of their World Cup history rather than the negatives, and I think with smaller nations, because it's so rare for them to get behind them to get to a World Cup, they just get behind them and they don't care if bad things happen, or they get knocked out, or they don't win a great game in the group stage. They just love being there, and it kind of eases the pressure on the players as well.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and our last prediction as such is for top goal scorer. Who do you think that will be, Jake?
Now, I had a couple in mind before the World Cup started.
Yeah.
I was thinking about potentially Thomas Müller.
Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking about Ronaldo, because I was thinking about them possibly overachieving, getting further than people think.
Yeah.
And however, after the hat-trick of Ronaldo and seeing that Portugal performance, it had swayed me a lot more to thinking that obviously I've not seen Germany play yet. But I just think that because Ronaldo is he's the main man in Portugal, where Germany potentially have other options. Not Sane, sadly. That's another massive shock.
That is just shocking.
Do not get it at all.
No, don't get me started, Jake. Don't get me started.
Anyway, before we branch off again, so I'm going with Ronaldo. I'm just thinking that hat-trick, and I can just see him getting a couple of goals against Morocco and Iran, like quite easily for him. Like, I don't think it'd be a challenge to get 2 against Morocco and 1 or 2 against Iran, and so then he'd leave in the group stage with like 4 or 5 goals. A lot of top players, they end the World Cup on 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah.
So group stage is very, very good. And then going into they're around the 16 group, because they're Group B. I think they pair with Group A. So that's really Russia or Uruguay they're going to play against. I can see him getting past Russia, definitely. For Uruguay, I can see them getting past them as well. He could get a goal. So I think he's going to be he's my contender for the Golden Boots.
I would agree. I mean, I did change this after of course, the hat trick. I originally thought it was going to be Neymar, because he's kind of the focal point of the Brazilian side, very creative, probably going to be wanting the ball a lot in that side, and he's got a good long shot. But after seeing Ronaldo and how pumped he is, because this could be his last World Cup, but I don't think it will be. I think he drives that Portuguese team so much that his energy kind of makes people want to give him the ball, and he just has the pure ability to score, as was shown in the Spain match. And as you said, I think he could easily score a few in the group stage, and even if Portugal don't get too far, he'll probably score enough to at least be in contention with a Golden Boot.
Interesting. Good.
So
I think that's concluded our sort of predictions in terms of little things of who we're going to sort of get involved. However, if any of you out there are interested in those sort of prediction things and don't know already, we actually have a prediction league that we have set up. We set up the other day. It's called TBC League. I'm sure we can put a league guide to look at it. We currently got 12 people in it, which is very good. So thank you all those who've obviously joined already. I'm sitting in 5th place. Not bad out of 12. Sam, very comfortably sitting in 2nd place.
But quite far off the top at the moment, sadly.
Yeah, very, very far. We've got M. Zaki. So he's on 787 points. And just to give you like a perspective of how far ahead he is, 4-9. So a big, big jump. So this man's got football knowledge, I'm telling you. Presuming he's a man, obviously he could be a woman. They've got some very good football knowledge, or they're just being very lucky. I'd like to think lucky. But no, well done so far. But it'd be really, really interesting. So if you do want to do that and get involved in more specific games, I highly recommend joining that.
And the link will be in the description below. Just follow it, and it's never too late to join. So do join. Lots of fun.
Lots of fun.
Anyways, thank you for listening to this podcast. We hope you have enjoyed, and I hope you continue to enjoy the World Cup. Of course, we shall be back for another main podcast in the next week or so, and of course we might be doing some smaller little podcasts, including like on individual games in meanwhile. So do stay tuned and look out for that on our YouTube page, and of course look out for polls or anything on Twitter, which you can find again in the link below, because we are fairly active on Twitter with polls and funny tweets, so please do check that out. Jake, do you want to say anything before we leave?
I'm just going to say that in this World Cup so far, not only have I really, really enjoyed it, but I'm going to try and get behind England as much as I can, because I think as a country, we are, like we talk about a bit of negativity, I think we're very negative. Just to highlight that, with that De Gea mistake when he made, there was a little bit on the Spanish press about it, but nowhere near as much as it would be said that Pickford made a mistake. But no, I'm confident for England. This is exactly how I felt in the Euros, but it's for a different reason. I do think the squad is different in time. I know everyone says it, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I do think it's different, and I do think we're going to do alright. I'm thinking quarterfinals, I think we'll be happy. But yes, enjoy and watch as many games as you can. I've managed to see at least about 20-25 minutes of each game so far. So I'm going to keep that up.
And on that, we shall say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. Of course, enjoy your World Cup. See you soon.
See you then.